10.
Two of our officers were ambushed.
A young man in the back of the pedicab stood up and opened fire.
He cocked his gun and started firing. He never had any exchange with the cops at all.
We literally bumped into each other. He fell out in the yard. We almost saw a bunch of law enforcement officers with guns drawn.
He was arrested without incident, but what is concerning about all of this, the officers did not have any interaction, engagement whatsoever with this individual. They're just crossing through intersections, going in different directions.
I'm a little shaky. That's all right. I'm here. I'm alive. I'm lucky. It's just that quick. Life can change on you, you know?
And I'm Katie Moore. Two New Orleans police officers are recovering tonight, one of them at University Medical Center after he was shot in the left cheek during an ambush this afternoon near Royal and St. Philip in the French Quarter.
Well, that man was caught a short time later, just a few blocks away, and tonight we have the exclusive video showing the moment the suspect randomly opened fire on officers. It happened in the blink of an eye. On the corner of Royal Street and St. Philip, cameras captured a man riding in the back of a pedicab open fire on an NOPD unit in broad daylight. Take a look again. If you zoom in, you can see the moment the suspect turns around and starts firing. The pedicab driver then jumps off of his bicycle and takes shelter inside a Fox Fine Art Gallery. An officer hit by the hail of bullets is seen crawling on the ground next to his police unit. That officer, a 4-year veteran, is in the hospital suffering a gunshot wound to the face just below his eye. A second officer had minor injuries.
I'm going to have to take a while to get over it.
The unprovoked attack came as a shock to this man who was standing just feet away from the shooter when it happened.
I was standing there watching it, and I was thinking, gee, that's awfully loud for fireworks. I didn't comprehend what I was seeing. The shooter was hiding behind a car. I was looking at the shooter, thinking, wow, does he have any ammunition left?
Just minutes later, police found the alleged shooter just blocks away. Nagay Smith was outside of his job when he says the suspect bumped into him while running away. That's when officers appeared to close in.
All I knew was a big commotion. I saw a lot of guns, and I got flat on the ground.
He was arrested without incident. He appeared to have appear to be under some sort of medical condition. We're not sure what it is at the time, but we took the necessary precautions in transporting him to the hospital.
Now the officer is still in UMC right now. The bullet has lodged in his skull, and according to officials, right now the NOPD is not releasing his name until all of his family is notified. Now, as for the shooter, officials tell me he wasn't carrying an ID and refused to give his name or why he opened fire. No word yet on the charges he might face.
And as we just mentioned, the officer and the suspect, they're both recovering at University Medical Center. And Mike McDaniel's joining us live tonight with an update on how they're both doing, as well as a closer look at that arrest. Mike?
Hey there, yeah, that officer who we know is a 4-year veteran of the force is recovering tonight here at UMC, and at last check he is in stable but serious condition and responsive, which of course is a good thing. Police Chief Sean Ferguson says he was even able to walk into the hospital on his own, holding his left cheek where he was shot just below his eye. We also know the suspect was brought here to UMC as well to be treated. Take a look at video from a little earlier of what we believe to be the ambulance that brought him here, escorted by police. Now we're told he's doing well. Also, police say he was brought here after he was suffering some type of medical episode when he was arrested in the French Quarter, which we also have video of. Now take a look at the surveillance video not far from where the shooting happened. That's not him in the maroon-colored shirt. Instead, he runs around the open gate in what appears to be a black jacket. He stumbles a bit and tries to run again before suddenly realizing he's been caught. He gets on the ground, and so does the other person who turns out to be a worker who you just heard from a little earlier during Sharice's piece. You can see two officers slowly approach the suspect with their guns drawn as he raises his hands. One officer then begins to make the arrest as the other officer keeps his gun drawn on the suspect, and once handcuffed, officers wait for backup before eventually bringing the suspect here to UMC. Now, Chief Ferguson stresses that officers did not use excessive force in making this arrest, and that the suspect was not initially forthcoming with his identity. So we don't know that, nor do we know the identity of the officer involved. Even though officers fired no shots, this case is still being treated as an officer-involved shooting, which means the city's consent decree comes into play. So there will be an internal investigation as well as oversight from a federal monitor to make sure all policies and procedures were followed. Live from University